Kaya Jones. She is a former member of the Pussycat Dolls, if you didn't know. And she recently went on Tucker Carlson's show. I had heard her say this before, actually. But she claimed that when she was in the group, their management banned them, essentially, forbade them from getting pregnant, and forced her, this is her claim, forced her to get an abortion.
See, there's forbade, by the way. There's
forbade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They forced her because she had a job to do and she couldn't afford to be pregnant.
So she said, I was told to get rid of it. She said, alleged of her unborn baby during her interview. And then when she was asked who pushed the abortion, she responded, the powers that be. And she said that she felt she was at the height of her career and she had to do this if she didn't want to lose her job.
Yeah.
And more shocking even than that is that she says she was forced to do this in between rehearsals, and directly after she got her abortion, they then performed in Las Vegas at the MGM Grand, and she was hemorrhaging during the performance.
That is disturbing.
And this was viewed by like millions of people on TV, on national TV, and she in real time was losing her child. And she recalled in an interview I watched from a few months ago that she saw girls as young as like 6, 7, 8 years old in the crowd, and that was a big wake-up call for her, that she shouldn't be a role model anymore if she doesn't live up to her own. And
if I remember
standards
correctly, I could be misremembering this, but the Pussycat Dolls, like in particular, like were one of those groups because they had like Nicole Scherzinger or whatever was like the front man, but like they were like products of their management. Right.
Yeah.
So like they were like not slaves, but lock and key. Like, you are the property of this organization. Do your job or else.
Contractually, yes.
Yeah.
But it was sort of because they were formed after the Spice Girls with the template of the Spice Girls, but in America.
Is a little bit of this cope? She could have quit. She could have quit and just not done it. And
a lot of people commented that. They said, you know, Here, one of these comments said,
I think that's
she stayed in the band and went along with it, but mind you, it wasn't really her fault, and she did get pregnant twice that she admits to, and somebody else did that while she wasn't looking. So a lot of people thought that this claim that it was forced on her.
I mean, they gave her a choice, and she chose her career over the child.
Yeah, I mean, I think there aren't enough safeguards against women getting coerced into abortions, and there's no special interest for checking that they're not being coerced into that decision. And
I mean,
of course,
at the end of the day, she still has to make that decision for herself.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it is her decision. Yeah. So in this interview, she said she has gotten 3 abortions. Firstly, she said she got one when she was 16 or 17 behind her parents' backs before she was in the group. This was like the first time she got an abortion and didn't think anything of it, thought of it as another form of contraception, and didn't have any concept of like the seriousness of the issue or anything. Yeah. Then this abortion that she got when she was in the Pussycat Dolls, she says was her second abortion. And since she had done it already, it was already minimized in her mind that she was desensitized to the significance of the decision.
The first one, 17?
17-ish.
Yeah, like I mean 16? That's one of those things where it's happening at such a young age where, you know, she's not even an adult yet. And
she said she wasn't taught any different, any better. But in this situation, she was in her 20s at this point, had more self-determination, but because she was in the music industry, which at the very least disincentivizes performers from having children.
I don't know the specifics of this contract. I don't know if she would have been financially liable if she wasn't able to do shows or something like that.
It seems illegal to discriminate against somebody based on them, their getting pregnant or not getting pregnant.
But what's crazy about this is where a lot of people forget that this is part of where the wage gap happens. This is actually part of it, right? Where women just decide, they say, look, I can't do this. I'm having a child. I'm choosing that child's life over my career. And that's where a big factor of this comes in. And then it's more particularly egregious in this example because you've got like some cutthroat manager telling you to do this rather than Amazon saying, we will fly you to another state to have your abortion.
Right.
Because now they want to do it.
Not state funded, but corporate funded.
Yeah. It's almost more ghoulish.
Yeah, it does seem more ghoulish. And obviously the entertainment industry has no morals.
Nope.
And in order to succeed in it, it's almost inevitable that you're going to be asked to compromise on your morals, to conform to it. It's always been that way in Hollywood, especially since the silent film era. Like, since the very beginning, you either conform or you get kicked out very promptly.
Yeah.
Stars from even the beginning of the film industry were ousted if they had children. They were contractually, based on morality clauses, forbidden from getting pregnant. Yeah. That's a thing. And I think that's a form of probably, I guess, sex-based discrimination that should be illegal, in my opinion. But in less official ways, it happens all the time to this day. And the idea that women are any more reproductively free is a total lie. The choice is only relevant when it's the choice not to have a kid. The choice is only defended to not have the kid.
Well, they're not saying like, we will help you get through this and come to term, have your child and start a life, because women cannot be productive members of the workforce if they're starting a family. They can only be productive members of the workforce if they're killing off a family.
Yeah. And
she says it's to control you. Now, I do take issue sometimes with the conflation here, where they're saying it's some mean-spirited patriarchal need to control. It's business. It's just evil business.
She didn't make that explicit of a claim that it's like patriarchal control over women's bodies,
but that's what
or
people
whatever.
Assume.
But she has likened being in the Pussycat Dolls as a company, really, to like a trafficking or prostitution ring. And when she made that comparison, a lot of people pushed back on it, including current members, or not current members, sorry, because they disbanded, but women who stayed in the group after she left it, relatively early in its formation. Women who were still in the group pushed back on that and said that she was undermining the fact that they chose to stay by calling it a prostitution ring, and that she was also like demeaning the accusation of it being such a thing, you know.
Also, like, what would be the male analog to this? Like get a vasectomy? like
there's no male analog.
That's what I'm saying, like,
because when men have a kid, it doesn't
affect. They don't have to take 9 months off. Yeah. See, now if we reenacted the movie Junior and the guy had to get pregnant, here's the thing: the company would be just as unwilling to support him. That's where people need to understand. It's not to do with the fact that you're a woman. It's the unfortunate circumstance of being a woman in the workforce and what you're capable of doing. You can blame Stalin for International Women's Day and for trying to get women. Blame Stalin and the communists for this. This is their fault.
Yeah, I mean, at least in part.
It's them in big business. It's you gotta love it. You gotta love that business integration where now the big business is just as evil as the communists, so it doesn't really matter. And for them, they're part of it. It is, if it's not trafficking, they're basically part of a large moving machine. We talk about this when we talk about musicians. When Justin Bieber or when Shawn Mendes goes, I'm taking some time off for my mental health. I'm like, well, there's a lot of people now that aren't going to be working. Because your Fifi's got hurt and you want to take a couple weeks off. I'm kidding. I get it. But like, you're part of a larger machine. So your choices have consequences. It's just that for a woman in this case, those consequences are more dire than for a man.
Right.
Yeah.
It's difficult because I don't want to sound like unsympathetic to someone feeling pressured into getting an abortion. But she could have made the decision to leave.
Exactly.
And have her kid. And
exactly.
That's just true. She was not in fact forced to get that procedure.
The word means whatever society wants it to mean right now. And what she means is I was asked very forcefully and I didn't have the strength to say no.
And she clarified that she got a third abortion later on when she was 30, after she was no longer part of the group.
So she's just like,
because I
killing
believe
babies,
she
apparently.
cited that there were complications with it, and also that she conceived by R-word from a partner she had been with for a long time. So like I'm not here to discredit any pressures that exist, but I think that this is more telling about the entertainment industry as a whole than about her specific circumstances.
I mean, I don't even know if it's just entertainment. I think it's really, when Amazon is saying that they'll pay for you to go have an abortion, I don't think it's really any different in any industry.
It's just all women
now.
in the workforce?
All women in the workforce. It's just that with entertainment, there was more of a financial upside to wanting to go and get it done. Like you're making more money than somebody who works for Amazon. Like that's worse.
Well, here's the thing with Me Too, to switch gears here, if I could. Me Too, for a lot of women, was, I think, an expression of like negative feelings about agreeing on a bargain where I give you sex, you give me job opportunity.
Yeah. In
an unspoken agreement. When the unspoken agreement doesn't work out the way you wanted it to, because it's unspoken, then you don't get the job opportunity. It's more that you're bitter about the fact that you misjudged your leverage in that, your power in that dynamic, than your actual feeling about what happened.
Yeah, they're not as upset about what happened. They're angry at that the outcome didn't benefit them in the way they needed it to.
Yeah, they miscalculated the power that they had over the person that they leveraged sex for. You know,
especially when it's as plentiful for people like that
in
that
a lot
industry,
of cases. I'm not saying all of the cases, and there were like horrific crimes committed by Harvey Weinstein and the like. But then on a similar note, when someone says I was forced to get an abortion because of this management company that I was under. Asking me to in a very forceful way that made it seem like I would lose my job, it's like, yeah, I mean, that was the bed you made.
But it's done in like these types of articles are phrased in a manipulative way that you're not supposed to be anything but sympathetic to her. And I think it's fair to have a rational discussion about it while understanding that what she went through is horrible and not a position anyone would ever want to find themselves in. I think one of the strongest things you can do as a society is have a reasonable discussion about this that is both empathetic to what she's going through, sympathetic to what she's going through, while understanding that there's more to it and that we can't live our lives based on slogans that are put on poster board and, put up in the air by people like activists.
And to be totally honest, it's no negativity to Kaya Jones as an individual. And I'm sure that on her own, privately, she's dealt with these things and like reckoned with what she's done and the decisions that she's made over the years. And she's come to religion, and that's between her and God and I guess Tucker Carlson. But
maybe they should. Everyone do their best Tucker Carlson impression.
But like, now that this is public information, I think it's valid to have a candid discussion about it. And I think she's certainly not the only star or performer that has been affected by these things.
Not at all.
And she's one of the very few, to commend her, who has the courage to speak out on it, about what happened behind the scenes. Not many are willing to do that. And I think
not the ones that are still hoping to work.
Yeah, if anything, it's going to be like Stevie Nicks saying, Fleetwood Mac would have never happened had I not gotten abortions. And it's like, I don't know, like maybe the world would have been just fine without Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
And
I love the song Dreams, but maybe like some kids would have been good for the world too. Just
genuinely, like I would trade that song and the fact that band ever existed for you letting that kid live like any second if I had the button to press.
Yep.
But she can't say the same.
And I suppose for Kai, like we're in a point in these industries now where they can work on their own. Like if you come from this
True.
generation, you can build your own small thing. That
In 2003, not so much.
No, but now, based on the fame that she got through the group, she can have her own thing. Whether she wants to stream her own music, whether she wants to become some type of influencer that markets on Patreon or something like that, she can find ways of doing that. And that frees her up to speak more about stuff like this. And although you may or disagree with what her decisions were back then, or even the language used about things like forcing, hopefully it'll allow more people to speak out. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.